Most people feel overwhelmed when it comes to debt. What kind of debt do I have? What's the interest rate? When is it due? And how long will it take me to actually pay this debt off? These are just a handful of the questions that many young professionals, just like yourself, are faced with every single day when it comes to managing their debt. And let's be honest, it's very confusing. In the next few minutes, I'm going to explain the types of debt, strategies that you can use today to start attacking that debt, and why you probably should. But before we dive in, my name is Chris Villaire. I'm a certified financial planner and founder of Villaire Financial, a financial planning firm where we specialize in helping successful professionals make smart and confident decisions with their finances. All right, let's dive into it. As I mentioned, there are different types of debt, and not every type of debt should be treated the same. So we'll start by categorizing debt into two categories. It can be helpful to think of debt as either good debt or bad debt. So let's start with good debt. Good news first, right? This is going to be debt that you use to purchase assets that are going to appreciate in value or create some stream of cash flow. These are things that are going to increase your overall net worth. An example of this might be a mortgage, which is going to buy an appreciating asset, your home, that is going to increase in value. Or student loans. As much of a damper they are on your monthly cash flow, they are increasing your earnings potential every single month and allow you to do a career that you're passionate about. This is a qualitative benefit that many people ignore when it comes to student loans. They'll tend to just think of, oh, this is a heavy number, it's high. But in reality, for many people, this is just a part of the process that allows you to conduct meaningful work on a day-to-day basis. Now, on the other hand, there's bad debt. And this is credit card debt, high-interest private loans, things that you use to purchase non-appreciating assets. Think consumerism at its finest. Think of things like credit card debt or buy now, pay later schemes, or high-interest personal and private loans. Okay, great. Now that we have those two types of categories established, we can now narrow things down by classifying debt based on its interest rate. We'll separate things into low interest debt, medium interest debt, and high interest debt. So low interest debt, I want you guys to think of this as anything that's under 4%. And the reason we're going to separate things into 4% is that historically, inflation has hovered right around 2 to 3%. So this number is just slightly outpacing the rate of inflation. Then there's medium interest debt. This is going to be anywhere from 4 to 7%. And then there's high interest debt. That's anything 7 or 8% and up. Things can get really extreme when you're talking about credit cards, which can be anywhere from 20% or more every single year. So now that we've categorized debt into good and bad debt in these different categories, how should you go about attacking each type of debt? So we'll start with the high interest debt. This is debt that you want to be aggressive about eliminating. When it comes to high interest debt, I want you to think about it this way. If you have debt at an 8% interest rate and you're paying it off, you are getting an immediate and guaranteed 8% rate of return. This is a no-brainer. You want to place your dollars here and get that immediate and guaranteed rate of return, as opposed to investing elsewhere where it might not be guaranteed or take you some time to realize these gains. This beats out almost every other investment option every single time, especially when it comes to credit cards earning 20% plus or private student loans at 12% plus. It's going to be very difficult for you to get this same rate of return anywhere else in the marketplace, whether that's a public investment or private investment. Moving down the list, medium interest debt. This is that 4 to 7% range, and this is where things get a lot more nuanced and a lot more complicated. So you're going to have to sit down and ask yourself, what's important to you? What are your values surrounding debt? What do you want to achieve short-term financially and personally? And what do you want to achieve long-term personally and financially? It can be very difficult when you have a loan that's at 6%, where yes, quantitatively, most likely you could outperform this by investing elsewhere, earning a higher rate of return. But becoming debt-free might be something that's very important to you and your family, and this might be something where you want to allocate your dollars. The point is, yes, you can pull up all the spreadsheets, all the math that you want to, but at the end of the day, if you're going to sleep better at night by becoming debt-free, it's worth it to do that than to earn a few extra percentage points every single year. The point is, there is no one-size-fits-all answer here. It's a combination of your overall personal finances, how you feel about debt, and what you're looking to achieve in the short term. Maybe you're trying to save for a home, and that's something that you want to be very aggressive about saving for, and this 6% debt you can leave on the sidelines for now. Point is, context, context, context. And you need to make an educated and informed decision that is best for you. Then when it comes to low interest debt, these are things that are under 4%. This might be a federal student loan or a private auto loan that you're on a level payment plan for. You want to manage these strategically, make your payments every month, but a lot of the time it doesn't make sense to make an additional payment here. Why would you spend your extra dollars paying off something at a 4% rate of return when you could rather be investing those dollars earning 8% elsewhere? The math just doesn't make sense. So yes, there's many people that say that you shouldn't have any debt whatsoever, need to be super aggressive about paying off your debt, which I agree. You should be aggressive about paying off debt, but it depends on the type of debt. It's all about interest rate arbitrage, and you want to be putting your dollars where you're going to be getting the highest risk-adjusted rate of return. For many, paying off that 2 to 3% interest rate mortgage or 4 to 5% student loans isn't going to be the best bang for your buck. Just because it's debt doesn't mean it's inherently bad. It's better to reframe debt as a tool in your overall financial situation. And just like any aspect of your financial well-being, it's something that can be strategically managed. And that's exactly what you should be doing with this low interest debt. Make the minimum payments, pay on time, and sure, if you get a bonus or some other lump sum of cash and getting debt-free is important to you, absolutely, you can make extra payments towards them. I'm not saying don't do that whatsoever. I'm just saying that these are not your top priority when it comes to other things like saving for short-term goals or investing for your future. So a good rule of thumb is if you can be earning more elsewhere than what you'd be paying off in your debt, make the minimum payments and invest the rest. Vice versa, if it's a rate of return that you couldn't reasonably return elsewhere, it makes the most sense to pay that debt down. And this is why high interest debt is so dangerous. One, it compounds dramatically, but two, you're not going to be able to earn a 15 to 20% rate of return every single year anywhere else. So it makes the most sense to pay this debt off immediately. Now, when it comes to actually paying off these debts, context matters. You need to factor in many things like, what is your short-term savings situation looking like? Do you have an emergency fund? Are you getting a 401k match through your employer? What are your short-term goals? Do you want to save for a home? Do you want to save for retirement? You need to factor in all of these things. So for one person where you're getting a 401k match, it might make sense to ensure that you're getting that full match, then making your minimum payment, then contributing to your investments, and then making additional payments on your loans. As opposed to someone who doesn't get the best workplace benefits and is already maxing out the Roth IRA, maybe for them, it does make sense to make those additional payments on your debt. Another thing that I would encourage you to look into is to see if your employer offers student loan assistance. Thanks to the Secure 2.0 Act, employers can now make matching contributions to your student loans, just like they would with a qualified retirement plan. Now, every employer doesn't offer this since this is still relatively new legislation, but it is something that you can be looking into. Now, here's my thoughts on debt and why it can really unlock a lot of freedom. Let's just say you have a total of $40,000 or $50,000 in debt. If you're making the minimum payments on these loans, that's exactly what the lenders want. They want you chained to a system that results in them earning the highest amount of interest as possible. You want to get off this wheel. What I encourage people to do is, depending on their situation and the nuances of their debt, spend 1 to 2 years. That's all I'm asking. 1 to 2 years of being super aggressive about eliminating your debt and then resuming your normal payment plan. If you can make substantial progress in your 20s and 30s when you relatively have lower responsibilities, you might not be married, you might not have a family, you might not have a high mortgage payment. This is where you have more monthly cash flow that you can use to allocate towards your goals, whether that's paying down debt, front-loading your investments, or saving for other short-term goals like buying a home. The point is, if you can spend 1 to 2 years, that's it, just 1 to 2 years making a ton of ground, making lots of progress, and let's say you're able to eliminate 65% of your loans, that gives you now the other only 35% left of your debt that you can eliminate much faster and pay substantially less in interest just by sacrificing 2 years. That's all I'm asking, just 2 years of sacrifice and making additional payments, given that it makes sense from an interest rate perspective and what the overall features of your debt are and your underlying financial situation. Again, there is no one size fits all when it comes to debt repayment. And no, I'm not telling you that you can only buy your home or your vehicle in cash, or if you can't afford college out of pocket that you shouldn't go. No, that's not the world we live in, and debt can be a very powerful tool that you can use to accelerate your personal and financial goals. Debt can be a good thing. I don't want you guys to be afraid of debt. I want you to be educated and informed so you can make good decisions to leverage this strategically so you can achieve your personal and financial goals. However, if you can eliminate your debt early on, you're going to have a lot more freedom from a monthly cash flow basis. Imagine every month you're not dishing out hundreds of dollars every month for your student loans, your credit card, your auto payment, and all that can be either invested for the future and generating rate of return, saved up to purchase other investments like real estate or a business, or traveling and creating meaningful experiences, or giving to causes that need your dollars. These are all things by sacrificing now in your 20s and 30s that you can make a substantial impact on when you do have more responsibilities. My point is, as you get older and your life progresses, you're going to progressively have more and more responsibilities being added to your plate. I'm asking you guys to think about the future you, your future family, make sacrifices now that might not be the most comfortable or enjoyable, but are going to give you substantially more freedom moving forward. Please consider the long-term ramifications of your consumption, your spending, what type of debt you're taking out, and make informed decisions when it comes to those loans. I'm not saying that becoming debt-free is the only thing that is going to get that weight off your shoulders, but having a solid, concrete financial plan will. Knowing how much you're bringing in each month, where it's going, how you're allocating your dollars is going to give you a sense of peace throughout that process. It's not necessarily becoming student loan free or paying off your credit card that is going to give you peace. And yes, it will be a relief when it's gone. But what I found is when people are on a plan, they're seeing progress, they're being held accountable, that's going to provide you peace on a day-to-day basis, even in the midst of remaining in debt. Now, that's all for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed and that you found this to be a helpful framework for how you view debt and what to do with it. Again, this is not one-size-fits-all advice. It's meant just to be an educational tool for you to apply to your personal finances. If you enjoyed today's video, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.